Hi, friends. Thanks for tuning in to the Mental Fitness Unscripted podcast, where our conversation will encourage your healthy living journey. Inspired by our Team Quadzilla coaching motto, healthy living starts between your ears, we talk about mental fitness in ways that challenge us to think about our thinking regarding topics like habits, leadership, exercise, values, marriage, parenting, and faith. Our hope with this podcast is to sharpen you as we sharpen ourselves to be all we were made to be. So let's dive right into the conversation on this episode of Mental Fitness Unscripted.
I'm itching my nose. Can you send Good
Yeah,
morning.
we'll make sure to start with the nose pick.
Yeah, edit that out, would you?
Yeah.
It's funny. We were talking about confidence. I'm okay. My nose itched.
Yeah, that's right. It's a human thing.
My nose itched. Okay, tell me about your t-shirt.
It's like uh, this is also uh, off the rails, but every time somebody farts, I say that it's health. Don't be embarrassed. It's health. It's your
It's
body doing what it's supposed to do.
normal function. Yep,
You know,
normal function. So, tell me about your t-shirt.
what do I have? Oh, it's the Hope Water Project. Um,
Oh, I see
this
Africa
was
there. Okay, I couldn't see Africa there for a second.
yeah, this is
5K, cool.
this was a 5K event that I did with Brandon a long time ago. He was just a little guy back then, but we were helping to raise money for clean water in Africa, and this organization is fairly local to us, and they do a good work there, and so that was fun.
That's cool. Well, it's the season of fairs, the county fairs here, and I get to run the Bonneville County 5K. I get to operate that for the runners tomorrow. So
There you go. All right.
I'll be up at 4:30 in the morning with a headlamp marking the course.
Perfect. Maybe just put some river crossings in there while you're at it.
Yeah, no, what's funny is people don't know this about Idaho, but we have actually some world-class sand dunes here.
Oh,
Yeah, people travel far and wide to come and bring their sand buggies and
okay.
anyway, yeah, it's quite the deal. But anyway, south of my house here, about 2 miles, there's a set of sand dunes, and that's where the county fair grounds are, is right by these sand dunes. And so the 5K actually runs, it goes a little bit through the sand dunes, not much, but a little,
A little bit.
little. I think I've got a map here. Where's my stuff? I do. I've got a map even. Yeah, I got to mark the course in the morning, so I'll have a headlamp. But yeah, here's you can see the racetrack there that we'll go around, and
Oh, nice. Okay.
the sand dunes are right up here by that smaller racetrack. You can see the bigger one over in this other corner here. So anyway,
Nice. Well, you probably didn't know that Michigan has some pretty famous sand dunes.
I did not. Isn't that
Yeah. In fact, we were just there last weekend.
nice? That's where you vacationed.
Yes, yes, it is. So how about that for a coincidence, if there
Yeah.
might ever be such a thing? Um,
Well, the world class ones, these are just babies, but the world class ones, they're about, I don't know, 50 miles from here.
all right, let me show you.
So I'm,
Let me see if I can figure this out.
I'm gonna
I'll
have
show you a picture.
I'll give you permission to share if you need to.
Share.
Oh wow, gotcha. You should be able
All
to.
right, so how do I? Here.
Oh, nice.
All right, so there's me jumping over Brandon on one of the dunes.
How cool.
And then here's a picture with the
What's funny is these look a lot like what we've got here,
this
except
is
we don't have a
Lake
big lake
Michigan,
behind.
Lake Michigan in the background. This is the tiny boat down there. This is a really steep dune that most people won't climb. But it was just perfect weather,
That's so
excellent
cool.
trip there to do the dunes. So
That's so cool.
yeah, so we did the dunes. You mentioned the dunes. That's hilarious. We both have sand stories, I guess.
There you go. Well, I was just there this morning. We've got our obstacle course set up at the county fair. We leave it up over the weekend. It's just a really simplified one, but we leave it up for the week during the fair, and then
Yeah,
we do the 5K for the county.
cool. So you're not gonna run it. You're just helping to
I'm operating it. Yeah,
operating.
we
Yeah,
call it
there
the
we go.
Farm Life 5K. So there
There
you
you
go.
go. Nice. Cool.
Yeah, my business partner, he said, he's normally the one that runs it. He said, I've got to be out of town. Can you do it? And so he dropped the stuff by this morning. Here's all your stuff.
Yeah, good luck.
We got it.
All right.
Okay, well, we've been talking about confidence. Any more thoughts on confidence?
Um, Boy, I don't know. Let's see. Not at the moment. I thought we did a pretty good job last time. Have you got something else to add?
Oh,
Because I want to look in my notes here and see if I can come up with something, but
I do have some stuff if you want to continue it.
yeah,
We
yeah,
can.
go ahead, please.
Did I can't remember last time. Did I talk about the video that I saw of these two groups? There was one that was a professional football team, and the other was, I think it was the LA SWAT group. Did I?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So just quickly, and where I'm going with this, confidence comes from practicing and preparing yourself.
Hmm,
There's a little phrase that kind of floats around the Intermountain area where I live here. It goes like this: If you are prepared, you shall not fear.
okay.
Um, and I really believe in that, but we can't prepare for everything, for every little eventuality. And so
Hmm.
let me bring up this. It was a leadership course in this professional football team, and so they had a video of what happened. But this professional football team showed up, and then they had this run that went out in the Florida Everglades. So it was in Florida. They show up, they're going through all these seminars and everything. And then they were going to do some practical application. And part of that was this run out through the Everglades. And they said, okay, here's this trail. It's well used. You'll be able to find it. You'll be all right. We're going to send you out as a group, but we have to let you know, our attorneys have told us and everything that we have to let people know that there is a feral hog out here and it will attack people. And what they did was they placed cameras strategically along this trail just to observe how people would react. And so, as you go into the foliage, it becomes darker and everything. What's funny is these guys, they're a football team and they're in shape, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're very tentative about this run, even though it's timed.
Okay.
And so, they'd come and the foliage would come out and, kind of narrow on the trail and they'd be really apprehensive and they'd hurry and quickly run through that choke point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're videotaping this and in this video it just keeps showing these guys, they'll show up and then run through and then the next camera will catch it. Well, unbeknownst to this group, there's a guy out there, and what they've done is they've tied a rope to some bushes, and as they go along, this guy starts shaking the bush, and this whole group of professional football players, they're
You're
monsters,
like,
and
yeah,
they start screaming like kids,
yeah,
run back the other way. They didn't continue through, they ran back the other way just
no
as
way.
fast as they could go.
That's great.
Okay, so they did this with another group, and I think it was the LA SWAT. It was a SWAT team. I think it was LA, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. This has been years ago, but it was so funny. These guys, they go out running, and they start, and they're pretty confident. You can see that they're pushing each other and kind of competitive, and they're really confident in their run. And as they come to choke points, and see, they were warned about this feral hog too. Okay,
Hmm.
same, everything was the same as far as the warning and everything. And they run through, and this guy, he pulls on the rope and makes the bushes rattle. And these guys attacked the guy. They actually dove in,
No way.
and they were going to take care of that hog. Okay. And the guy that was showing this video, he was explaining being prepared and being confident. And
Hmm.
he said what happened was is the football team, there's a play, and they know exactly how it's pretty much going to run out. Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be a play that will take, however many seconds, 30, 45 seconds to operate. They'll come back to a huddle, they'll reform, come back out, they'll hit the guy, run the play, come back to the huddle, get a new plan. Okay. The SWAT team, when they go into a situation, they may have a little bit of information, but it'll be very incomplete. And they don't know how long it will be. It's very uncertain what's going to happen. And they
Hmm.
train for that. They don't know what's behind that door. And when they're training, they'll actually set up scenarios that it will surprise them because,
Yeah.
in a real life situation, they won't know.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Okay. And these are guys that run to the sound of gunfire. So,
Yeah.
if that's going off, it's not runaway, scary.
Right.
I've got to go take care of that. This is my job. And they train for it. And so back to my thing, if you're prepared, you won't fear.
Hmm.
And so the contrast between that, and I'm not saying professional football players, they're just trained differently. They're trained to
Yeah.
run that play and be very effective in that play, but they have a pretty good knowledge of what's going to function during that play. I mean, there
Yeah.
can be surprises, of course, but even in that eventuality, they've practiced for those. I'll call them surprises. But that SWAT team, it may be totally different behind that door than what they were told, and
Huh.
and they deal with that all the time. But because they train for it, when it happens, it's just another day at the office. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm just trying to think how I can apply that because I'm not a SWAT member nor a football player. And so how do I train for those kind of life surprises?
Okay, and you know, I think we almost I hesitate, and you can see me hesitating. I hesitate that going here, but sometimes we have to, in our mind, actually go to what's the worst thing that could happen here,
Hmm.
and be in a comfortable, safe space as you do that, and say, you know what, I'll accept and deal and pivot on whatever happens here.
Okay, but I'm thinking about people close to me who may have a tendency to think in the worst case scenario, but then that's the stopper.
That's why I
So,
hesitate going there.
okay, yeah,
And that's why I mentioned it's got to be a comfortable, safe
yeah,
space.
yeah.
It has to be a comfortable, safe space. Um, the Stoics back in Epictetus and
Mm,
Cato and um, Socrates, back in their time, they used to call it a pre-mortem instead of a post-mortem. They would take
Yeah.
we've talked about this before, but they would take things apart before it happened and say, okay, what eventuality? It's kind of like the saying, plan for the best, or yeah, plan for the best and expect the best and plan for the worst. There it is.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I follow. Right.
Okay. And I think you've got to be very even keeled there. You can't let this tear you down. And I have, well, we all have this tendency sometimes, people close to me, even myself, sometimes we can go down that trail of, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. But we have to remember that we are not oracles.
Mm.
Now we can have self-fulfilling prophecy if we just put ourselves there all the time.
Yeah, usually to the negative.
Yeah. You know why I didn't hesitate jumping in the creek when I showed you that video earlier?
Well, probably because you've done it before.
Okay. And what's the worst that happens? I get wet, right?
Yeah, yeah, you've been wet before.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so somebody that hasn't been there, they have to come up to the creek and make the decision, oh, I'm going to get my shoes wet. Mom and dad told me never to get my shoes wet, and
yeah, exactly.
and you have to deal with all that stuff. Okay. In Spartan races, it's interesting. They'll have a mud hole or a water thing,
Yeah,
and it's always interesting. You can tell who hasn't been there before because they're still standing on the edge, going, "What do I do? Can
yeah,
I go around this?
yeah.
Anyway."
I got $150 sneakers on them and I'm about to put them all through the mud.
Uh, well, the worst part is when people wear sneakers that are old
Yeah,
for
maybe.
that eventuality.
Yeah,
But the other 13 plus miles that are just running,
yeah,
they get at the end, and uh, their shoes are horrible. I Does that make sense to just kind of go through it in your mind, not dwell on it and not
hmm,
forecast it, but hey, if this happens, can I accept that?
yeah. No, that's fair. I think there's a combination required of having a healthy mental outlook about the worst possible things that could happen and thinking through that in a pre-mortem kind of fashion, um, as a way to prepare. But then also just, I don't know how you get to changing your mind. I'm thinking of someone who is paralyzed with fear about whatever the new thing is or the hard thing, and how to muster the fortitude and the confidence to just do it anyway. Um, I wish there was like a three-step plan. This is exactly what to do and exactly how to do it, and you'll be fine. But I'm not sure that's how it works.
The only thing I can think of is that some way you have to expose yourself to it safely.
Mm,
Okay, and it may be by degrees also. That exposure may be by degrees.
mm,
If I'm afraid of heights, I may, what would stretch me
yeah,
and then go to there. Well, I didn't die there, so could I go to this next thing? And um, I you've got to safely
mm.
expose yourself to that.
Yeah, that's good. I can appreciate that. I'm also thinking an idea that I know has helped me is to remember how where you've come from, or remember what you've been through. And that's really hard for a young person because you don't have that experience.
You don't have a lot of experience. You can
So,
you can
but at the same
associate.
time, you can still look back on something and say, I remember thinking that this was going to be really awful and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so therefore I can rest in that and have some confidence that whatever this thing is, having hope for a similar outcome.
Yeah. Brussels sprouts really weren't that bad, especially if you had enough butter on them, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can
Yeah.
associate things like that and say, okay, this this creek crossing, it'll be like that Brussels sprouts. Yeah, it might hurt at first, but I didn't die
Hmm.
from it, and I'll
Yeah. Yeah. Or even seeing other people do it. So maybe if I'm, especially if I'm a young person and I may not have had a related experience to draw from, but I can look back and see that other people have done it. Or like in your race situation where you're coming up to this mud hole and I've never been in a mud hole before and I don't really care to get dirty, and especially with my fancy sneakers on, but you're seeing all these other people do it and they seem to be okay. So therefore it should be okay for me, and let that carry me through that moment of fear and proceed with some confidence. So I think other people can help us too.
And what's worse is you have to put your face in the mud to get underneath the wall.
Right. Yeah.
So Spartan
Yeah.
Race, they're famous for it. They'll build this mud hole, and when I call it mud, it's like chocolate milk
Yeah.
consistency.
Dirty water. Yeah.
And you'll get in, but they build a wall that the level of the water is just right at the bottom of the wall. So
Hmm.
you have to, what I've, here again, you get these little tricks. What I've learned is I just reach under the wall, go under, and then just push the wall. You can't move the wall, but I can move me, and I know where the wall is. I see
Yeah. Yeah.
people go under, and they come up, and oh, I didn't make it under, and so
Huh.
just little tricks.
Right.
And you close
Hmm.
your eyes. You don't open your eyes under there.
Oh my gosh.
You'll deal with that for days. So,
Yeah.
okay, we've got 2 minutes left on this recording. What do you got?
All right.
More thoughts, or
Uh,
I'll tell you what reminded me of what we just talked about. I saw a
yeah,
fireman.
please.
I saw a fireman out in front of the firehouse. He was pushing a weighted sled, and it was
Mm,
93 degrees. He was dressed in dark clothes with his coat on. I mean, and he was pushing this sled 93 degrees with your insulated stuff on. And, why does he do that? And the reason he does that is he puts himself in that situation so that when it really does happen, it's just another day at the office.
right. Yeah. Success favors the prepared, right?
Really does.
That's good.
And it mitigates the fear. I mean, you'll still feel that nervousness and anxiety, but
Yeah.
knowing that you've been there before or been in something like that before.
Right. Cool. All right. I'm going to try something new then. That's the mission this week.
Well, and if you think about it, that's where growth comes from, is
Yep.
in your uncomfortable zone, and
Yes.
that's yeah, that's where confidence really is built.
Mm, fantastic. All right. That's good stuff today. Thank you.
Once again, I can't believe how fast this went.
I know. I know. We could probably do this for a while, but it's also probably good that we have a cutoff.
Yeah, that's good. All right, have a great week, Chad.
All right. You too.
My
Thanks a
best to your
lot.
family. Take care.
All right. Bye, Todd.